Entering the Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience Rocket Mortgage Classic Picks Preview. One and done. So we'll be giving away some $20 prizes to get into a draw. We got some winners for you, and we have some bets, which I'm sure are most likely to lose. Joining me in studio to break it all down, Geoff Fienberg. Bad week for me, I assume. Bad week for you.
Yeah.
Good week for Paul. Bet on Shez.
Wasn't a good week for me. And yeah, I don't know. My buddy who listened to the show, who just bet a bunch of guys like over 50-1 that we said nice things about, but didn't like mention on our betting cards, or he didn't even wait for final cards, bet Shez and Keegan. He's like showing it to me. Listen to the show. And I'm like, oh, what show was that?
I remember we crossed off Shez because we didn't want to play the had a good week at Pebble, lasted all 4 rounds,
I'll
traveling
die.
across country.
I'm happy for Shez. I'll stand on. I don't know. I wasn't ready to bet him to win. A lot of people did.
Yeah. If people want to get into a draw, if you lost some money on DraftKings this week and you need to get some back, get into a draw for 20 DK bucks. Smash the like button to the episode. Leave your DraftKings handle in the comment section and tell me who your one and done is going to be for the week. And if you're looking for the Pat Mayo Experience DraftKings Open, we can no longer post that link on the YouTube page. So if you're looking on the YouTube page and watching it on the YouTube page, you got to go to Facebook, my Facebook page, facebook.com/thepme. It's where my bets show up on Wednesday as well. I probably don't want to pay attention to those. The link is up there in the description of this video, or if you download the audio podcast, nothing changes in the description of that as well. If you want to get into the PME Open, $15 to play, 3 max entry, no rake. It's fun. And I'm in it. And I'm terrible at it. So I'm like free money too. I almost came in last this week in one of my lineups. It was a 1 of 6. Not great.
It happens to the best of us.
Griot got MDF'd.
Oh, there are a few right in that line.
Yeah. Well, Griot was the one who really went full through.
And I listen, when I always like when that number, like what, 60, 66-1. It's always I always like that range hitting. Feeling like, people are always sending us shots. Because it hasn't been a big season. The numbers have been really weird this year.
Yeah, it's either super long shot or 20-1 or less.
Yeah,
that's what it feels like.
Very, very small. I mean, since like Corey Connors winning the week before the Masters.
It's CT Pan, Max Hama.
Kang. But then it was like Tiger, Brooks. And then the only ones outside of really long or super short, I guess Cantley was the only like 20 also. There, like 20 has been a dead money range.
Phil and Casey were the only two I can really remember that fell in that range.
Ricky, I guess, hit a 20. But I was saying since the week before the Masters, and then the only ones sort of in this like whole since the Masters were
Woodland
and Shez.
Yeah.
The only. But when those numbers win, it seems like a lot of people have tickets to show off because that seems to be the popular betting range, at least what I noticed.
So there were some Shez tickets tweeted at me. T-Fed ended up with a nice hit. He played on DK Sportsbook, hit that one. I believe it was at 50-1. Riku, who can't stop winning, hit another one. 150, turned it into 6K.
Big, short. Hit them all.
He just hit them all. Just tail his picks. He wins every week.
Hit them all.
And, of course, Paul Shaughnessy behind the camera.
Yeah.
He used anti-bias mode on Fantasy National.
There it is.
In order to make his selections last week.
Awesome.
So the way Paul described it to me is he turned on anti-bias mode and he whittled it down. He did like 100, past 100 rounds, past 50 rounds, past 24 rounds, past 12 rounds, because he only wanted to play like one DK lineup. So he ended up just like crossing people off of the list. And obviously you don't know who the names are when you're in anti-bias mode on Fantasy National. And then he got down to his 6 guys. So he played that as a lineup and then bet all 6 of them. Boom. Nailed it. That's the way to do it, I guess. Don't listen to us and use that and you'll be fine.
I thought after, what was it, the 15th hole that Keegan was going to get him.
I like that Keegan somehow doubled 17 without hitting it into the water. It's tough to do.
I stopped. Well, once I had no confidence getting up and down, I just time to get the kid ready for bed. I thought it was dead there.
I was at a wedding last night. So
Jewish?
Well, there's only 2 options: Jewish or super cheap.
Okay.
It was
well,
Jewish.
Those can also be like, well,
no,
those can go together. I'm allowed to say that.
Well, I've never not been to a Jewish wedding that's not on a Sunday. But we actually had another friend getting married on a Sunday yesterday. Like the past like 3-4 years, I've been to like 7 weddings, 12 weddings. 11 weddings.
It's
And
finally calming down.
this
though,
year
right?
we have 3, and
Yeah.
2 of them fell on the same day. And one was a super cheap wedding. The other one was the Jewish wedding.
Oh.
But one was local, so we went to the local one,
Yeah.
the Jewish wedding. I pointed this out to my wife.
Sorry, at first I thought you were implying that it was both a Jewish and a
No,
super
no.
cheap
This
wedding.
one,
That's
this one looked like it had some cash behind it. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was very nice. Great. They had like all you can like during the cocktail hour, like
Yeah.
a complete like sushi boat bar that kept getting refilled. Smoked meat sandwich station. It was
Oh yeah, seen
fucking
those,
excellent.
yeah.
But the big thing is, like when people do like their wrestling intro at Jewish weddings,
Okay. Yes.
I don't get excited for anything in my life, including my son, than people do like anticipating doing like the hug runaround thing. Like there was one guy who was just waiting for him to come in. He was like bouncing. He was all fired up to get in there and start raising the chairs. Like, do you get that fired up?
Can I make a confession?
Go for it.
I actually, and I take heat for this. There's another buddy that's is so much more bolder than I am about this. So he actually takes the heat in my group of friends, but I avoid it. I don't want to be like, you get in there, you can get just a mess. I don't want to be a mess at the start of the
It's
night.
just a sweaty mess for the next 3
so
hours.
I literally find my way to the back unless it's one that I have to be there in, and I'll find my way almost like you would at a party you don't want to be at long. I'll do a token inner circle, make sure the camera catches me, kind of float like I'm around, and quickly layer by layer get out of that thing. It's called the Hora, by the way.
People get fucking fired up for it.
Fired
they are
up.
geared up.
Fired up. Dude, I don't know. It gets intense. The real intense religies do it with a sheet. They launch you in the air.
That's got to be tough. Did you get up on the chair thing?
Yeah, of course. I don't have a choice.
You have to do that?
That's not even
They almost dumped her poor dad. He almost took a spill off. Have you seen anyone ever take a spill off?
No,
because he was
no.
flailing around. He was 80.
Never seen anyone take a spill.
That's good. And I feel like a goober. I'm standing there at my table being like, hey.
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to. Hey, that's it. That's what you are doing. Yeah.
Hey.
All right.
Yeah, that was
Moving
fine.
on.
Well, there's not a ton to
So happy to be out of wedding season in my life. Though.
It's pretty good.
Got a couple friends coming up.
I got a couple friends
It's
who
good to be. Yeah, they've held on, but are finally buckling. But those summers of 7 and 12 are just. Those are just premium weekends flying away.
Well, everyone that myself included.
Myself
I'll
included.
throw it
Yeah, I
into
gotta
it
take an onus on that.
no one got
day.
married till they were 30. No one.
Oh.
No one I know got married till they were 30. And then everyone got married all within a 3-year span. I have 8 friends who are having kids this year, myself included. So it's nice to really group the kids together. None of us live in the same place anymore, so it doesn't matter. But I don't know. This is what we talk about when we hit losing golf bets.
Okay. No, I got to admit, this weekend I even woke up this morning. I tweeted if there was a bye week for golf, maybe this would be it for me.
This is we got a lag now because the majors came at us so fast, and I think it has to do with the players being bumped up to March. So you have players and you have Masters. There's 2 WGCs surrounding that. Then you're right into the PGA Championship. Then 3 weeks later, it's the U.S. Open. Now there's at least 4 tournaments in between the U.S. and the British Open, and this field is uninspiring. And it's not very good. And we don't know anything about this course. And then next week, I will be at the 3M, by the way, on Friday. Me and Moose are going to go on Friday if people want to come hang in Minnesota.
That'll be a blast.
Should be fun.
I always have a blast every time I've gotten out there. And I don't think you've ever actually gotten out there. At a tournament.
Waste Management.
Oh yeah, that was for your bachelor party. That was.
And I was just out of control.
But yeah, no, I always have a blast. But you're right. I don't know. At least last week for me personally. But even if
any good field last week.
But but I mean, even anyone else, even if he didn't hit the Gary ticket, the week after a major, there's always a bit of an adrenaline to want to talk about it or get back into it. Just woke up this morning. I was and I don't fake it. You guys know. And I'll get excited for the Sanderson Farms when there's no reason to. But I can't phony it. And that doesn't mean the people in Detroit shouldn't be freaking excited and have a blast. Because I've gone to some jobber Canadian Opens over the years and still had a great time. Anytime the PGA Tour returns to your location, it should be a great week for everybody.
So the winners from last week of 20 DK dollars, we got K Rich 25, ND Joyce 13, Ryder _back. Luck of the 12, Statman _68, Tiger Tour 02, and Gabe 7X. And I do want to tell everyone that fantasynational.com, if you get the monthly right now, it takes you through the British Open. And we talked about, we got all those events in between. We just talked about anti-bias mode. You get all the stats, you get all the tools, everything you need. The lineup generator, which has just been upgraded as well. Perfect time to become a member at fantasynational.com. The golf season is running its course. Then we get FedEx Cup playoffs. And then, boom, we're into the swing season where apparently the Greenbrier falls. I assumed the Greenbrier was coming up.
In Houston,
they all got moved to the swing season.
Pushed into there. And this probably would have been when the Green, because we got this and the 3M. This week, the Rocket Mortgage in Detroit. Next week in Minnesota. Both weren't on the schedule last year.
No. So these are new turns. I guess this is technically what the National was last year that Molinari won.
Yeah.
I think that's
and it is Quicken Loans, which I also think is
Rocket Mortgage, yeah. It's just
rebranding all the same stuff.
Yeah. Well, I got to give a special shout out to some of the actual people who won last week. The two big winners, fantasynational.com members, viewers of the show. Congratulations out there. Josie, not Jose, Joe Z is the last name. Won $1,880 on 120 worth of investments. The big one, though, Nick Fleer won $21,500 on DraftKings this week, investing $957. That's a pretty good ROI. I'd take it. Not going to lie to you. I'd take that.
Of course.
So that's fantastic. And if people out there actually want to do me a favor, it's not for a draw or anything, so don't leave your DraftKings handle. That would actually be not good for this. I got a friend he just opened up a new restaurant, and he could use some reviews on Google. Some positive reviews. So it doesn't matter if you live around here or not. If you just, if you Google Byblos Uptown, BYBLOS Uptown, it takes 5 seconds to do. Just leave a 5-star review. Say, hey, food is great.
There it is. All you need.
I got to help out my friends.
Yeah, the power of
Yeah, we got to galvanize the power of the show for good.
We've all felt the bump, the Mayo bump, internet bump before.
I've eaten there. It's fucking fantastic. Although Cuss would really hate it. It's all shareables. It's like Mediterranean style food.
Like tapas, right? Is that like the fancy word?
Yeah. It's a very nice restaurant. So yeah, Byblos Uptown, just leave a 5-star review.
Tapas.
Hey,
small appetizers.
I had a great
is
time.
What Cuss would say.
Yeah, there's actual stuff
no, of course.
Yeah, Cuss can't handle it. He was getting all triggered because there was a place in BC that for breakfast they're switching over to paper straws and paper forks or something. Some hippy dippy place in BC, and they're just putting in this initiative.
The paper straw,
paper straw goes one of two ways. Because I've had paper straws that are pretty good if they're thick. The thin paper straws are really terrible because they just fold over and crumble. But you can get a cardboard one that's pretty good.
I feel like my carbon footprint, if we were all allotted a footprint or a maximum, I would make room to keep my straws.
How often, that's the one thing I don't understand. How often are people using straws? My wife uses a straw. I'm what the fuck are you doing? Are you 4 years old? Just drink out of the fucking can.
Sometimes, I don't know.
And here's a quick tip. If you go to a fast food restaurant, don't get soda. It's even worse than normal soda for you.
Oh, probably.
It's just syrup.
Just straws in general, though. You know what? It's not even that I use them a lot, but it's extremely, it hits me hard when there's paper disintegrating in my mouth.
Sometimes they need to, if they're going to do it, you have to go the extra step and make them usable. That's why people will turn on them pretty quickly if they're garbage.
Okay.
So
well said.
If you get the good ones, then it's like Windsor Super System Saver pallets, Jeff.
Then you have to buy.
Got to get the good ones.
And didn't you buy Tim a metal straw for Christmas?
I got
or
him
something?
a collection of metal straws, which he was using the other day.
That's good. That's a great gift.
The metal straws are nice, very firm, and you can put them in the freezer, and then they're cold when you put them in. He doesn't do that, but I'm sure that never occurred.
See, Tim seems like a fun guy to shop for because you can make him so happy so easily. But that is a great gift because there's so many things that I feel like he's against.
Yes, that was one of them. But now he uses them and he likes them.
Yeah.
Because with anything with Cuss, once he actually does something, he likes it.
Sorry, I don't mean to intentionally be avoiding talking about this.
I'm good with intentionally avoiding this. Let's get to the tournament. Golf Club of Detroit. It's over 7,300 yards. Par 72. So there's 4 par 5s on the course. There's a bunch of short par 4s, less than 400 yards. There's 4 of them. There's another 4 that measure over 450 yards. 2 of the par 3s are over 200 yards. The par 5s, 2 of them are pretty gettable. The other one you can get to, but it does have water in the front, so some people might dial it back a little bit. on that one. But they're bluegrass greens, which when I looked it up, I consulted a travel website because I couldn't find what the actual green types were. It said they were bluegrass, which is basically annual poana. So it's back to POA once again, it looks like. And if I'm wrong on that, someone just please tell me and point me in the direction to find the actual result. That's what I found. So that's what I'm going with for the moment. Just to write in my column kind of thing. I didn't actually factor it in all that much. But it's a pretty weak field, to tell you the truth. Stat-wise, I kind of kept it pretty simple. I put in Eagles gain because they are gettable par fives, but ball striking approach, tee to green, a little bit of putting, and those 2 par 4 ranges I weighted equally just to see if guys popped in both. And that would steer me into the right direction. But when we talk about the top of this field, there's like 4 guys. You got Dustin at 6-1, Ricky at 12-1, Woodland at 14, Hideki at 14. Shez is the 5th favorite at 25-1. That's not good. You're going to back Shez again, going back to back?
I will not.
What about Gary?
I'm curious to know what do you think Gary's number would have been if it was just like a typical Gary U.S. Open, like he finished like 12th? Or like,
he'd be 20-1.
That's yeah.
But I think they're factoring in the Gary Woodland World Tour here. He's been on Ellen. He's doing the talk show circuit.
Yeah, I don't need it.
He's a major champion.
I'm attracted to Ricky.
Of course you are. He's a handsome fella.
To be honest, and I would say you have to fear Dustin in a way you don't have to fear Brooks.
I do
events.
fear Dustin this week.
Because 20 PGA Tour career wins, a lot of them come in these exact spots.
Remember when he just dusted the field at St. Jude? Was it last year? 2 years ago? Whatever it was?
This even feels like, even last year off like the Canadian Open. Came here.
After the British.
Yeah, after the British. He didn't have the most inspiring U.S. Open. Although he made the cut. He did miss the cut at that British. He just sort of like... I don't need to explain what he can do, but I think you have to fear him and not discount him in a way that you blindly can with Brooks, it seems, in these spots.
Yeah. I see. I know what you mean. Yeah, Dustin's going to give it his all to win this event, whereas Brooks is like,
And I get it. Like, I'm not picking on Brooks. Like, it's easy, like, off of last week, but he's, now he's, like, kind of totally acknowledged, like, I am empty, and, like, I'll see you probably on the other side of the pond in a few weeks, because I don't expect him to be in Minnesota.
No, I don't think he is.
And I don't think he's going to the John Deere.
Maybe he'll play the Irish Open or the Scottish. Do you think more people play the Irish this week or the Scottish this year? Because usually they play the Scottish because it's usually in Britain or Scotland, but where it is in Northern Ireland, maybe they play the Irish this year.
That is a great point. And it is, for as uninspiring as maybe this little pocket of PGA Tour golf feels.
Euro events are good.
Valderrama, Irish Open, and Scottish Open into the Open is a great little circuit that they get to run this time of year.
One thing about DJ, at the U.S. Open, he was actually still top 10 tee to green. It was the 3rd worst putting performance of any measured tournament since 2012 for him on the green. So as someone who is typically a pretty good putter, I would expect him not to lose 7 strokes on the greens again. I wrote about this in my column. You can find it up on DK Playbook right now. But in terms of Justin Thomas, I went and really dug into his stats. He's not in the field this week, but just I wanted to talk about it a little bit.
Seeing 38-1 to win the Open.
It works one of 2 ways, because the tee to green game is out of this world good. Like, again, he finished 2nd in the field tee to green last week. Dude couldn't make a putt again. But ever since he's returned from this wrist injury, he can't putt. Like, it's remarkably bad. I think the past 4 weeks have 4 of his worst 15 putting performances ever. And when we were thinking about like wrist injury, we're like, oh, is he going to be able to hack it out of the rough? But it seems to have affected his putting stroke. Now, I don't know if it's just
coincidence.
It's coincidence. That could be variance. It could be whatever. But it just seems very striking that he returns from this wrist injury and all of a sudden he can't roll it anymore.
He returns from the wrist injury and seems to be at optimal iron play.
But can't putt.
You seem like there's much more pressure on your wrists taking divots than there is rolling the putter.
Maybe. And it's not something that would have ever occurred to me.
Yeah, maybe. But it's putting is such a finesse thing. It's way, golf in all forms, you could argue, is art. But yeah, it's such its own particular skill. There could be something there. Yeah. Also something to watch.
But it could also just be complete randomness as well. That's the hard part about figuring out what's going on. I'm good with backing him at basically whatever number at this point, though. But he's been so
Yeah,
good.
it's got to click, you figure, world class. I am getting prepared to be certain and confident in backing Bryson.
Oh, really? You liked what you saw from Bryson last week?
I just think you're seeing it. You're seeing ugly. You're still seeing it go the other way, but I think you're seeing enough of the positive. I mean, Pat, this is a guy you picked to win Player of the Year.
I know. Guess what? Not going to win Player of the Year.
He will not, but I am not willing to believe he will go the summer empty. When last year, like the summer, he found it.
Well, this is around the time of year where he turned it on last year.
Yeah, I mean, you could get confused because their majors are different, but it was right after missing the cut. He won Memorial, missed the cut at the PGA, and then went on to win 2 FedEx Cup events.
Mm-hmm. Then he won in the swing. Then he won overseas earlier this year.
Listen, I just trust in the homework. Like, I know he's doing the work. I trust it. Now, you see some real big numbers in the 60s and the 70s to win the Open Championship. I think in the next month we'll probably see some signs that continue to trend positively. But I would take him for an anytime win this summer. I feel like it's going to happen. I feel like he's going to figure it out.
So he's an auto bet for you anytime he's in the field now?
I don't want to say auto because if he goes like John Deere at like 8.
Sure.
But
I don't know if he'll play John Deere this time around.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe he will.
Probably not. He also strikes me as a guy that could go to Ireland for 2 weeks.
I mean, Vegas is already over there. Played in Germany last week.
Right, and literally play with a windmill or something.
Did you have any interest in any of these top guys in terms of your card? Dustin would be the only one I would consider, and I don't want to back anyone at 6-1.
I'll say this. Have your shot about Ricky. I feel if there's a player on tour that could be less affected by having his title major sponsor of his be the title sponsor of the tournament, it would probably be him, because I feel like every time he goes to a tournament, there's some multiple corporate obligations that he's probably taking up.
I mean, maybe Torrey Pines doesn't just jibe with him whatsoever, but that's one of his title sponsors, the Farmers Insurance Open. He never plays well there.
Never plays well, but I think we've sort of, I don't know, he goes overseas. It's his first one back, and he gears up for Phoenix. So I don't know, every year for the most part.
Okay, so second range of guys here. I talked about Shez. He's 25-1. Snedeker, Reed, Horschel, Moore, Kisner all fall in the 30s. Bubba is 40. Abraham Answer has withdrawn, so he's no longer 45-1. Then you have Streelman, Neiman, who is Tim's one and done this week at 45-1, and Jason Duffner. The two guys that I am considering off the hop, I actually haven't put in anything yet because I've been pretty late to the scene on it. Duffner and Moore. I like Duffner for Hamilton a few weeks ago. He ended up withdrawing. He didn't really play all that poorly at the U.S. Open. The U.S. Open's tough. He came T35. Played respectably well. This seems like a course that would set up for him pretty well. I don't know how the rough is going to work too well here, but hopefully he can just roll it okay. And Moore was top 10 tee to green last week. Of all the guys in this field, he was 5th of all the people that played last week coming into this week with those short par 4s. That's really where he excels. And we look back at Donald Ross courses over the years. Like, he's played really well at Sedgefeld at the Wyndham Championship. He's played in the Tour Championship twice, and he's come 3rd and 2nd. So I think that he has these designs kind of down a little bit. I like the way he's playing right now. Hopefully he can make a putt, which is, asking a lot of old Ryan Moore.
I like Moore. Moore would be the one for me, potentially. I'm disappointed, although the field is so weak that if you do have the name value, I'm not surprised. I was hoping Reed would still linger in stronger fields at bigger numbers. I don't want to support this one, but I do feel like his moment for the summer might be coming too. I'm disappointed Answer withdrew because that number seemed like a fine fit.
That felt like everyone was going to pile onto that number and he'd miss the cut. Like Grio last week.
Okay, so that you're right. Perfect. Thanks for saving me $35 or something there.
Do we blindly
Abraham.
back Streelman at this point?
See, that's another guy. The number seems right, and fine, but I don't want to bet him.
I mean, I don't really want to, but
that's the thing.
He did a lot of his best work last week around the greens and on the green, which is pretty atypical of Kevin Streelman. you would think that he would have a good ball striking week. And hey, the putter didn't show up because that's what happens. We got a good putting week or a respectable putting week out of him, but the ball striking didn't quite click like it had been.
I mean, when it comes to Kevin Streelman, I'm not the form has been great, but the lunar eclipse of him actually winning, I mean, I guess I could poke fun. I mean, Shez won, but that for me is I'm not there. Sungjae and Neiman's odds get cut in half. I don't know what Sungjae did to get the hype. I understand why Neiman took a hype ride this week.
Sungjae had a good Sunday, or was it a good Saturday? No, either way, he was 100% putting last week. I'll be off of the M train. But like Neiman at 45-1, like, come on. He goes from 150 to 45 pretty quickly. And he putted well last week.
Well,
when does he ever putt well?
That's the other part. He actually cannot. Of a lot of these players that I'm always confident like will get it, I know he's so young, but like his is like real concerning.
Well, it strikes me as odd that like, I mean, Hovland and Wolf and Sue are in the field again this week. It just strikes me as odd that Neiman all of a sudden leaps all of those guys in terms of odds.
Fair. And I want to, he's so young, but I just mean when you load Neiman up on Fantasy National, it's like, it's a blizzard of red when it comes to putting.
It
like,
is.
Even other guys that we back, that we make fun of, like they find like there's pieces of green on Luke List's page.
Yeah, not Ben Ann, but Luke List.
I just like up until this week, and people. That's why I Neiman. But if he starts to get comfortable and he's so young and he gets, maybe something clicks or something with a coaching, putting technique, what have you, I can't wait to be betting him. But I'm not falling for it this week. Is that how to put it?
I can get on board with that. I guess the big thing is, what do you think that the winning score will be at this course? Because obviously it's brand new to the players. It's brand new to us. I would guess it'd be like -20 though, maybe more. This seems like just a scoring fest. That's at least the impression that I get from the course. Did it take you any sort of way, like this sort of tournament?
It's hard to gauge. And I always, like to sort of look at the history, see the winning scores. It does, in my opinion, help you dictate what sort of player you would want to bet, because there's guys that we know really struggle winning if it is going to have to be a birdie race. And there's guys struggle on the complete opposite end of that spectrum. But if it is a birdie race, I could buy into Aaron Wise at 50-1.
Really? Aaron Wise? How come?
I feel like he's been trending in a lot of the right places. He was getting a little bit of hype for not doing a ton, but I feel like in this field at 50-1, I don't know, the events that he does well and seem to be birdie party ones. He did pop a bit at Pebble. It was brief. I didn't believe it.
And then he came back.
I wasn't believing that for a second. But before Pebble and some of those, I want to say Texas area tournaments, I was really high on him. And I just think when I look at, I don't know, I trust his win equity. And at 50-1, I got a lot of confidence in him.
So of the 50-1 to 100-1 guys, the ones that I had been kind of dialing in on.
What's Fantasy National saying with Aaron?
Now, he's been bad off the tee. Gained a bunch of strokes on approach at the U.S. Open, but before that, he'd been pretty disastrous, missing 2 cuts in a row, Memorial and Hamilton. So he hasn't really been playing all that well. Just very middling performances, but he hasn't played in this week of a field in a while. No one really has played in a field this week in a while. I guess the other guys like KH Lee, your buddy, he's now up to a 75-1. I don't know if I love that. Watney's been playing better. Tway kind of came out of nowhere. Hoffman is really the one that intrigues me, though. Hoffman's 60-1. Garrett's going to be on the bag for him for the Pro-Am. Tweeted that as. It's nice to see. So always a good boost. Always a good time. Wonder if we can get some inside scoops on Charlie. But last week it was all just putting. It had one really bad round. He actually gained a bunch ball striking and lost 4 strokes putting in 2 rounds. That's not very typical of Charlie Hoffman. And the other one is going to be Brian Harmon again. He kind of showed up again last week. This doesn't seem like a super long course. And when I look at birdies or better gained on the field over the past, 12 rounds, Brian Harmon pops up number 6. It's Hideki, Woodland, Munoz, Dustin Johnson, Harmon, Hovland, Duffner, Kang, and Von Taylor. Vaughn Taylor is someone who just continuously seems to play well too. If Shez is going to win on tour, it seems like middle of the road Vaughn Taylor, who's also, I guess Shez didn't win at Pebble Beach, played well at Pebble Beach in the past. Seems like someone who could come up, but he's down to 90-1. That's the problem with this field.
Hoffman, I don't mind. He finally did start getting things in the right direction after a real horrible run that probably lasted close to a year. Kokrak, I assume everybody's just like afraid of now.
That was, I don't know what happened to that guy, man.
But like,
I know what happened, but when you miss like 6 consecutive putts from inside 5 feet,
that's not sustainable though.
No, it's not. But like, that's also emblematic of something that's potentially mentally wrong with you.
Yeah, that I agree.
Remember when we saw it with Dillette when he couldn't chip?
Yeah.
All of a sudden he just lost the ability to chip and he was done.
And I don't want to draw this conclusion, but I've sort of made the analogy last week that maybe Kokrak sort of had his like heater. He played great. He won lots of money for him and his family, but he didn't win a trophy or cash an outright ticket, and that happens. We've seen that happen to a lot of guys. It's so hard to win. But is that form that everyone was so happy to bet him at like 35-1? If it can still be there, at 60, 66, you can have some level of confidence that putting thing is one atrociously bad putting round.
It could be, but it's not like he was striking the ball all that well. It wasn't like poor, but it wasn't good by any means. And that's what we were getting from Kokrak. Maybe he just spins it around. All of a sudden, he's got the putting figured out. He's tough to back, though, as an outright here. Over the past 12 rounds, super short for him. If we just look at the key stats that I've identified, which includes like ball striking approach, eagles, those key par 4 ranges, par 5s, birdies are better gain, just tee to green game in general. Of the guys in this range, Hovland rates the highest. He's number 6. Vaughn Taylor would be second at 90-1. He is 9th. Brian Harmon is 60-1. He'd be 10th. Kang and Tway are 11 and 12. Then it's Duffner and then Billy. We already passed Billy Horschel, but he would rate out 16th from this range. Spawn actually rates out well too at 100-1.
Hovland is something else. He's crushing it. His off the tee numbers are quite remarkable. I know people don't want to weight that as much as some other statistics, but playing in professional tours to be number 1 strokes gained off the tee, I want to say almost for 2 weeks, maybe total at least.
Not so much last week.
No, but his total over the 2 weeks would be number 1 of everyone that played.
Yeah, but he didn't play
both events.
But he didn't play all that well last week. You only gained 3 strokes total. Tee to green last week. He gained 0.4 total.
I'm not willing to bet the win comes this fast though.
Even at something like a birdie fest, like we talked about, like the difference between like Hovland and Wolf. It does seem like Hovland ceiling at like tougher events, bigger events might be a bit better. But like if this is going to play like a resort course where it's -20, -24, wouldn't that lean you more towards Wolf?
Yeah, and as you mentioned, we were sort of having that in private correspondence. To me, while Hovland might be better, I think if I had to bet who's going to win first, it would be Wolf, because I look at the success like Champ had in the swing season, going to those like resort courses, no trees, and just literally, unless you find yourself in the hazard, there's always a play at the green. So if I had to pick one to win first, it would be him. I don't know if this is the course or if it's going to just happen like a lightning rocket. I don't know, man. This whole Kyle Stanley at 70, this is just a shit show.
Yeah, I don't love it. And usually these are the ones that I really enjoy, but I mean, at least at Heritage, we have so much experience with Heritage. These are the type of players that come to play. Valspar, these are the types of players that you can target. I just have no idea for this one. Maybe that's going to work for the better. Maybe it's like the anti-bias mode of actual courses.
Yeah, and people. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I mean,
Luke List is 75-1. You know I'm in on that.
Yeah, that's easy to be in on.
Yeah, that's an easy one.
In this field? Got to, no?
I would think so. Do we get Damon in the field this week? We don't, do we?
No, but we got Keith Mitchell back.
But if this truly is Poa, then cross him off the list pretty quickly.
Any love for Sabs?
Sabs plays really well at Donald Ross courses, but Do you have any faith that he's going to win?
No.
I could see it from a DraftKings perspective, but I don't know if I would back him to win this event.
But we're off of a week where the guy who hadn't won, like
2008.
that, like gets put on a record list of distance between wins. So I don't want to throw any shade. I don't feel like it's. I don't know. How do I put this? People were putting like Shez in the same category as like Casey finally winning last year. Like, no, and I don't believe that. Like those guys, yes, they didn't win, and it was like harder for them to win or like finally get certain monkeys off their back. They were always like in a different class, were they not?
Like Casey versus Shez. Like Casey had overseas wins.
Well, I'm just saying all this, like,
And he
look at all the
contended in
guys,
majors.
look at all these, like, never winners that have won.
I mean, Casey's won back-to-back years now. Same event, but he's also been contending at the Masters over this stretch, unlike Shez, who just basically contends it.
That being said, I don't like to throw around, like, the nevers. But I'm not, yeah, you said it. He's a perfectly great DraftKings play, but I don't bet Rory Sabatini. I bet other losers.
Yeah,
like, I'll admit, it's not like
we got other guys.
It's not like I'm pivoting off one loser into a winner. I'm just like, I'll bet my own losers.
Anyone else do it for you from this 50 to 100?
No, but I feel like I have the exact same chance in throwing these guys over 100.
All right, let's
like
talk.
Siwoo at 110. Like, he could be struggling, but he might have like the 7th most win equity in the entire freaking field.
Agreed. Someone even said to me, just like, "Oh, you're gonna lose another bet with Siwoo." Siwoo's paid off his year. I feel like people don't realize that when you have 3 top 5s and you get these sort of odds on you, those each way bets really come through, Jeffrey.
I mean, yeah, I guess even more reason to want to Siwoo each way. Although, yeah, I guess that was the anomaly. We were laughing at those Siwoo each ways because usually it's either like bottom or top. Coming in like 4th and battling on 18 for your T5 isn't part of like the Siwoo narrative.
But that's what he's been doing this year. Well, Tim even mentioned that he claimed that Hovland is the best young player on tour. And Eric Patterson pointed out, like, well, does John Rahm not count as young anymore?
Young in golf is like a weird term. What is young?
I would say like 25 and under is pretty young to be on
yes,
the PGA
but
Tour.
even those guys, I feel you have to put into their own like separate categories as well.
Why? Siwoo's 23.
No, but I mean Siwoo.
Sung Jae is 20.
I don't feel like putting Rahm and like Siwoo in the same category as like Hovland.
Why? Because they've been around. They're still young. They're still some of the youngest people on the PGA Tour.
I agree in that sense. And obviously Rahm is young, but I mean like, and trust me, I'm all about like Rahm.
How old's Bryson?
25 probably.
Is he 25?
If you're making me guess.
I don't know what it is. Look him up. 7 professional wins for Mr. DeChambeau. Yes, he is 25 years old. Yeah.
He's still pretty young. Anyhow, Siwoo at 110 to 1 seems quite yummy. And I would argue the numbers tell me you gotta play Corey Connors.
Connors
like, doesn't he? He's in a very small statistical category that puts him with elite players, but he isn't. But he's a good lingerer.
He hasn't really been all that good since he won at Valero. 46th miscut, 64th, 31st, 65th miscut. A lot of that has to do with very, very, very poor putting, but I can see it.
No, yes, I don't know who one of I want to say Justin Ray just tweeted out a great list. I think it was after the Woodland win of like guys that are in this like driving or iron.
Right, the ball striking is usually very, very good.
And he was the worst player on that list, but then you come to a field of this caliber, and it makes me, I don't know, his name kind of pops. Although, you know how I'm very anti on guys like without serious ceilings getting that first win and being able to win again on tour. That is beyond. We haven't seen it much. Pat Kazaier's really the only player that I feel did that.
Yeah. I'm looking at the numbers for Sean Stephanie right now. The guy's irons are electric, and he cannot drive the ball. Like, it's pathetic how bad he is off the tee. He lost over 4 strokes off the tee last week, over 3 at the Canadian Open. And he's bleeding away 3 strokes per week on the greens, too. But he's gaining like 6 through his irons, 4.5 through his irons. So he's like making the cut, but not scoring all that well. He's someone like, he's 250 to 1. I don't think he's going to win, but maybe a top 20 bet, something like that. Of the guys from beyond here, like Malnati, Connors,
Would you be
Spawn, Siwoo, maybe Ryder?
Would you go back to Fratelli?
No. He did me dirty last week.
Danny Lee.
Nah.
It happens for like a round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just make him
I
like an
hear ya.
auto play on your first round.
It's kind of silly because the name I'm backing up Connors with that I want to mention is Sun Kang, who also would fall under that one this year. Like, can I realistically expect him to win again? But a 90 to 1.
I think I would go with Von Taylor, to tell you the truth. Von Taylor's playing really well. Is this just a week to? I mean, this wouldn't be a bad week to say. You know what? Here's what I want to bet.
I'll lay no bets.
Yeah, no bets. Or hey, here's some money. I'll just bet it on Dustin. Is it turning into one of those weeks?
There's just not enough money for me to bet on Dustin.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to bet. I don't want to sound like uppity, but like to me, betting 100 wouldn't do anything, and I'm not in the mood to bet like three or 4 or 5. Like I just don't want to do it.
So I'm looking right now at par 4s gained over the past 36 rounds from 350 to 400 and 450 to 500. Guys that rate out really well are Gary Woodland, Max Homa, Jason Duffner, Brian Harmon, Siwoo Kim. If that does anything for you. Fabian Gomez is also really good on these shorter par 4s, where it's just like drive it to your spot, get your favorite iron, hit it in there, make some birdies. I thought that was interesting. Yeah, I don't got a ton here, man.
This is sad.
Go back to Munoz after a bad week, like Ryder, Munoz, Duncan. Doesn't seem like you're feeling it.
Like Alex Prug.
Alex Prug's been playing all right.
I know that's why I bring him up, but I don't like Andrew Landry.
I feel like Landry had
Troy Marin, 150 to 1. Did you mention him?
I didn't. Landry's kind of sneaky. I'm going to try to look up Landry here from last week. He had a really good ball striking week. Lost almost 4 strokes putting.
I don't know. Why is Cameron Tringali shorter than like some of these guys? And I don't even mind Cameron.
Landry was T43 last week, gained 2.5 off the tee, 3.5 with his irons, lost 4 strokes putting.
Do you think Cameron's here because like Ricky hooked him an invite?
Probably. Tringali's actually been playing pretty well for Cameron Tringali. Like he's not contending to win, but he did make the cut again last week, didn't he? Yeah, he was T71. He got MDF, but he was 11th and 23rd the weeks before that, and then 17th 2 tournaments before. He actually rates out 20th in the key stats.
Do you know Brooks? I guarantee wanted to MDF so bad. Did you hear the story? And I believe it that Barstool Riggs put out last night that he heard from people who saw it. And I know that's like a very, broken telephone thing. But I don't know. Sometimes people invade like my DMs with all sorts of shit that they like are seeing at the course. Brooks showed up 10 minutes before his tee time, hit like 5 balls and went to the first tee.
Well, I appreciate
on Sunday.
I appreciate that Brooks knows that like there's no score that he could have shot on Sunday.
Yes, I agree.
Where he could have won. And
if
he's only concerned about winning, what's the point?
But also the other part is he knows, he's like self-aware. I'm just freaking exhausted. So for me to like try to mentally work on like this thing, I'm not struggling. I'm just tired. So like what am I coming to like work for?
Yeah.
I agree. It's
show up, get your paycheck, but
it's an alpha move. But it's like, yeah, people were like waiting at the range for like 45 minutes, an hour for like Brooks because you can put like 2 and 2, like what the guy that he tees off, although it would have been pretty early because I think he would have been first out of the gate. But yeah, he just like hit 10 balls, 5 balls, and went right to the tee. And I agree with your assessment on it. And more to Brooks, I don't know if I said it enough last week, in losing or coming in that second place. I don't know. He seemed to have grown more on me.
You thought he was a good loser?
I really enjoyed how he's lost, both to Tiger and to Gary. Now, both of those wins subsequently made me happy for different reasons, both Tiger winning a major and Gary. And I don't mean I enjoyed that Brooks lost, although I'm happy Tiger won and I'm happy Gary won. I mean, even in losing, like, I thought he showed a lot of class, and he gets to the podium. He's like, I don't know, I had a great week. I came in second place. What do you want from me? And he's there. He was waiting for Gary behind the green. Obviously, you know, we all know he waits for Tiger. Everyone should and would. Yeah. You know, I wish he could, like, I would like to see him win more jobber events, but I'm the loser that likes, like, Dustin Johnson has 20 wins, and there's Brooks and just majors, so he's cool. Back to the shitty part of the board. I don't know.
Got nothing?
Seamus Power. It's not a long course.
Your buddy.
It's not a long course.
Well,
he's kind of at.
It's not a short course either. You're about to say something good about Seamus Power, but you have no idea how he's actually been playing.
No, he's been showing up a little bit in like a positive light on leaderboards, I want to say. But I can't pretend that I am digging. All I know is that just because his last name Power doesn't hit it a mile.
He's got a lot of red. He is third in the field over the past 36 rounds in eagles gained. He is below 100th in everything else that you'd want to really look at here. Mm-hmm. How has he been doing? 66th, miscut, 79th, 13th at Wells Fargo.
Okay, so how about this? I mean, coming off like his fun little week, Chesson, 110. No, he's like whatever, but
I mean, didn't he play last week?
I think you're right. I don't think he made the cut then.
Yeah, he missed the cut last week.
Yeah.
He's not coming off a fun little week.
I don't know, man.
Well, this has been a laugh riot.
This has been real bad.
Let's get to the quick picks. I think I'm going to go with Duffner at 45, Hoffman at 60 for sure. Probably end up doing Ryan Moore. I don't like that 33. Got to find a better number than 33. But I'll each way Hoffman, and I'll probably go with Harmon at 60, and those might be my four, along with List and Siwoo, because it's me, and that's what I do. Check out my cheat sheet on Wednesday. I'll have my full card up there with first-round leaders, but I don't imagine I'm going to be doing that much. It might be a nice week just to kind of pump the brakes a little bit. Might have to invest some going to the tournament next week.
It's a long weekend here.
Is it? Why?
Isn't it?
I don't know. We've been over this for each of the past 4 years. I have no conception of when holidays are because I don't take holidays off. But you might be right. Is it Canada Day?
I just have a wife, so I don't know. I don't really pay attention to that stuff. But yeah, I think it is.
You are correct. Next Monday is actually Canada Day. Will you be around to do the show?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll be here.
Of course I'll be here. All right, my picks.
Yep.
I'm going to tell you on Hoffman.
Okay.
Are you not betting Ann?
No, I'm not going to.
It's just like not even, like once it gets to that number.
Yeah, you make him 100 here, I'm all over.
Yeah. Fair enough. Obviously, I look forward to betting Luke List.
And Siwoo.
Yeah. Siwoo with that number and his equity to actually maybe win a tournament, I will... the Siwoo bet I'm going to make this week will actually be bigger than like... Sometimes I just bet Siwoo to bet Siwoo.
Yeah, chuck $5 on Siwoo.
But sometimes I bet Siwoo because I actually think like this is a thing. Although granted he's been playing horribly. But I'll take Siwoo to 110-1 with the sixth best win equity in the field.
Hey, one of his wins has come on a Donald Ross course, which is nice to know. Like the other guys from down there, like I said, I was looking at. Landry, I think, is super interesting. Armour, Stewart, and JJ Spawn actually kind of does it for me along with Von Taylor. So I might commit to one or two of those guys. Maybe they're top 20 bets. I don't know.
Did Mackenzie Hughes like almost go full Keegan last week?
Almost. I don't think he missed the cut, though. I think he made it. Oh, yeah, he made it on the number.
Streelman is so freaking tempting. I swear to you, I have like a problem. This is where the no bias feature is so important. Because like if he was like cooler, I think I'd be into it.
If he wasn't so non-flashy.
Yeah, if it was just like, yeah. And that's why I think that's him at 50-1 I'm sure you could find a 50. I'm looking at a 45, but I like to think that there's 50 to 1s for Kevin Streelman out there. The way he's been playing on this field, I know I called it a lunar eclipse before, but I don't know. Maybe he could actually do it. And I'm tempted to go back to Sung Jae, by the way.
I didn't like what he showed last week. Just it was a lot of putting and chipping.
And I'm going to deep dive into Aaron Wise.
So you like Wise, you like Hoffman. Those are going to be your two? Get on Duffner with me. Duffner's been good to us. He can win. All right, so you're off Duffner.
It's a hard one for me. I will say that Hideki of the favorites could be the sneaky one to look at.
Yeah, it doesn't feel. I mean, we barely talked about him. I want nothing to do really with the favorites. I have Gaiman on the show tomorrow, so Rick and I will talk about pertains to DraftKings, what to do with these guys. But in terms of the betting market, do you really want to back Hideki at 14?
He hasn't won a tournament since
Bridgestone, I think, 2 years ago. I think that was.
Geez, I'd have gone farther back.
Bridgestone. He won Phoenix in 2017. He won Bridgestone in 2017. That was the last time he won. It's been a while for him.
But
he's been playing.
But he's been playing great, and that's why I like to bet him at these fuller fields when he flirts with that 40 to 1, because it does feel like he really has been close. But I could say I felt like he's been close since leaving Torrey Pines. Like, he's had a really consistently green year.
He's made every cut so far this year. So he came third at Farmers, 15th, 9th, 19th, 33rd, 8th, 32nd, 31st, 23rd, 16th, 6th, 21st, the U.S. Open. He's actually gained strokes putting in each of his past 4 events, too. So it feels like he may have missed the window for his hot putter.
Or he
learned how to putt.
He could actually be the guy in the top 4 that's like tasting the win.
It's funny. I went over in my column. I went over Dustin's finishes because he has 3 bad finishes in his past 4 starts, like T36, T28, T20, and second at the PGA Championship. And besides that, they're all top 10s for the year. So that's another reason to pump the brakes if you're not going to bet Dustin. That just understand that he lingers out there and he casts a wide shadow on a field. Like this. And this isn't the Heritage. It does look like he's. Like, the Heritage is specifically designed for shorter hitters to do well. This one, we don't really know if this is a place where his off the tee can really play a huge advantage.
He's got the 4 par 5s. I'm sure there's a short par 4 for him too.
There's 4 shorter par 4s, but none to drive really. But it could be.
But still,
he
for
him, hits it up to the skirt and chips it on.
Yeah, he hit. That just means he hits it to the end of the runway and is literally mucking it up. Dustin and Rory like no other player. I guess Brooks and Majors, but Dustin and Rory like no other player. If I'm feeling good about my positions in a tournament, like I am war hawking them. Like every move they make that Stat Tracker allows me to follow, I like keep tabs.
You're making sure that they're not coming for your guys?
They scare me. Like even when it seems like they're down in the weeds, they still scare the bejesus out of me. And even
who does that for me? Molinari. Molinari's not afraid to shoot just to fire a 62 and come out of nowhere.
The thing is with Molinari, I feel like it's far more predictable to know that it's coming. Like once he hits that first 17-footer, then you got to be on watch. But like Dustin and Rory, they just one thing goes their way, especially Rory. Like it doesn't take much. Like he sees one thing go in the cup, and I don't know, it feels like the rest of the day is like a scare fest. Now, 99 out of 100 times I end up worrying for nothing, but that's just me.
One and done picks of the week.
Wow.
Tim went with Hovland last week, and I think that ended up. Who did you take last week?
I took Reed.
I don't know who finished better. I think Reed did, so I guess technically you would have first pick.
But I guess I wouldn't be taking Hovland.
Tim is taking Neiman. He's already locked that in. And I know who I'm going to pick if you don't pick him. Have you used Hideki?
Yeah, I've been really pro Hideki this year, so I definitely
I think I may have used him. I'm not going to use him, but I think that if you haven't used him in a one and done, he would be a good look. Because I don't think many people have either A, used him, or B, just are kind of off of him here.
Well, he was the most popular for Phoenix.
Was he?
Yeah.
I probably took Tony.
Because he even played really well at Torrey Pines.
That's right. He was
and everyone was humming him. And they put a 20 out there on Ricky.
Sounds like
Again,
you
I'm going on this different thing. I'm not necessarily gonna bet the guy, but Brant Snedeker.
Sneds.
I don't think I talked about him enough. He sort of got the too much maybe hype wagon or course history hype for Pebble, but he was like really playing well coming into it, which obviously people were combining his current form with his course history. I think a lot of that can carry over.
Not going to go Shez for back-to-back?
No, I'll go with Snedeker.
Snedeker gained a lot of strokes on approach last week after losing a ton at the U.S. Open. Couldn't make very many putts last week. Interesting pick. I like it. I'm going to go with Jason Duffner.
Yeah.
That's going to be I tried to play him in Hamilton a few weeks ago. He withdrew. So hopefully by the time we finish recording, he hasn't withdrawn again. That would be nice, but I'm in on him. That will do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. If you want to get into a draw for $20 DK, smash a like for the episode. Leave your DraftKings handle in the comment section. Tell me who your one and done is going to be for the week. If you want to play in the Pat Mayo Experience DraftKings Open, cannot put the link on YouTube because that will cause us to get banned. But if you want to find it, it is up on my Facebook page, facebook.com/thepme, and in the description of the audio podcast. So go hit it up there. Let's fill it up. Did not fill last week, Jeff, so we are making it smaller. People complain about this all the time. They're like, oh, you got to make it bigger. You got to make it bigger. And then people don't fill it up. Besides having a flat payout structure, no rake, and a very reasonable entry fee, Jeff, what more can I do?
Nothing.
More can I do?
There's not much more you can do.
And now people will be mad because it's probably like 2,000 people this week. The DraftKings ain't making a cent off of it.
Yeah.
So they don't want to guarantee all this money for tournaments that don't fill. So you might want to try to fill it up. A monthly membership at fantasynational.com right now will get you all the way through the British Open. Highly recommend that. And if you rewind to the beginning of the show, please Google that restaurant I told you about and leave a nice review there. With a nice 5-star review. Hey, food is great. Boom. It would go a long way to, I wouldn't say help preserving my friendship, but, I want to see my friend's restaurant do well. Restaurants go out of business all the time. Good reviews always help, all right? I'm Pat Mayo. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!